Today we're going to talk about losing trick count. If you come to a lot of my beginner classes, I always say like we're going to learn about losing trick count sometime in the future. So that day is today. Losing trick count is an alternative method for hand evaluation. So we have high card points, and then we have things like distributional points, and we increase or decrease our the value of our hand. And this just gives us another tool to throw into our toolbox to decide how good or how bad our hand is, or how high we should bid. So the way the losing trick count works is we only look at the top few cards in each suit and count them either as a winner or a loser. Actually, we're just counting losers. So if we have a 4-card or longer suit, or a 3-card or longer suit, we count every card at the top, every missing ace, king, or queen as a loser. So if we have, for example, if we have ace, king, queen, that's 0 losers. If we have ace, king, ace, queen, or king, queen, we're missing 1. These are all 1 loser. And if we're missing 2 of those, then we count 2 losers. So ace, king by itself, or the queen. I'm going to put a jack here. Queen 10x. These are all going to be counted as 2 losers. And then if we have a whole bunch of little cards, so we're missing all 3 of the ace, king, and queen, we'll count this as 3 losers. There's one small modification that I'm following Ron Klinger in his book called The Modern Losing Trick Count. And there's one modification that he recommends is that if you have queen and you don't have the jack or 10, then you count that as 2.5 losers. Now, this won't be perfectly accurate, and in fact, it's a lot less granular than high card points. But it is a quick method of estimating your strength, and it does happen to be a little bit more accurate in certain cases. And we'll talk about when that is more accurate. But here, for example, the ace-king is definitely 2 winners and 1 loser. And you might object, well, the ace-queen, sometimes the queen's going to lose, and sometimes I have 2 losers. And sometimes I have 1 loser, the queen wins. Well, if you and your partner are both bidding, let's say you have 14 high card points and your partner opens the auction. Then if you have 14, there's 26 points for all the other 3 players. And if your partner opens, they have about 13 or more. So they have at least half the remaining cards. So that means half the time your partner is going to have the king, or in this one, half the time your partner is going to have the ace. And then even if your partner doesn't have the king, half the time half the remaining times you're still going to be able to finesse. And if your partner has the jack instead of the king, you'll still have 2 winners because even if the queen loses, it knocks out the king, the jack sets up. So this isn't meant to say you're definitely going to win 2 and lose 1. This says you have 2 potential winners and 1 likely loser.
Is clicker with a K or a C?
cleaner with the king. So I'll go ahead and write this up here. So I don't remember my APA style guide, so I don't know if I wrote that correctly up there.
That's right. Well, author's name first.
Okay.
If you want to quibble.
Okay. So this is our basic count with 3 or more cards with a double tin. We only look at what's missing between the ace and king. So if we have the ace and king, this is 0 losers. If we have the ace, or if we have the king, we count this as 1 loser. And if we have neither the ace or the king, even if we have the queen, even if we have the queen jack, this is all going to be 2 losers. And with 1 card, we only count the ace. So ace is no loser. And the king or anything lower counts as 1 loser. And of course, if we have a void, we count that as no losers. So let's see, just for practice, I'm going to put a hand up on the board. And let's practice counting our losers here. So in spades, 1 loser. We're missing the ace, and we have 3 or more cards, so that's 1 loser. How about in hearts? That would count that as 1 loser. How about in diamonds? 2. And because the queen is unsupported, we're going to count that as an extra half a loser. And then our two losers, for a total of 6.5 losers. Okay, so how is this useful? Well, first of all, this is really only designed for use when you have a trump fit. So it's not useful at all in no trump bidding. But let's say our partner opens 1 spade, then we can somehow use the knowledge that we have 6.5 losers to help evaluate the strength of our hand. And one thing that we'll notice is that in general, seven losers is approximately an opening hand. And just like in standard methods where we use high card points or whatever, an opening hand opposite an opening hand is enough to produce a game. And we see that many our average minimum opening hand is about 7 losers. Sometimes we'll have 8, sometimes we'll have 6, but this is our starting point, is 7 losers is an opening hand. In fact, here early in the book, he gives this kind of formula that I used to use when it was first introduced, but I kind of got past that. It's not as useful as it sounds because of the fact that if we focus our attention on the 7 losers being an opening hand, then that helps out with everything else. But our initial formula would be 24 minus the total losers in both partners' hands is the number of tricks you expect to take. So if I have 7 losers and you, my partner, have 7 losers, then 7 and 7 is 14. 24 minus 14, we expect to take 10 tricks. But the reason this is more useful and is easier in my way of thinking is because if 7 losers is an opening hand, then we can look at stronger and weaker hands. So if we go to weaker hands, so more losers is a weaker hand, and we get to 9 losers is about a minimum response. To an opening bid. So if you open 1 heart and I have a 9 loser hand, I might bid 2 hearts, or if I don't have heart support, I'll bid something else. But just by responding to the opening bid, showing about 9 losers. And again, it's a little bit more not exactly precise, but sometimes it'll be 10, sometimes it'll be 8. And then if we work our way up here, so if a minimum response is about 2 losers worse than an opening hand, then if we look at your being the opener, 2 tricks better than an opening hand would be about a game force by opener. So I always think, the way I think of it is always how far away from an opening hand you are. Responder has 2 less or 2 tricks worse than an opening hand. If my hand is 2 tricks better than an opening hand, then we belong in game. And 6 losers would be better than an opening hand. So opening hand with extras. And this would be responding hand with extra values. And another way that kind of helps me is if my hand is a little bit better than opening hand and my partner responds, if they're a little bit better than a bare response, then we've surrounded this 7 and 7. 6 and 8 is enough to bid a game. So that means with 6 losers and an opener, I should be making some sort of invitation with my hand. And my partner, if their hand is a little bit better than an opening hand or responding hand, with 1 extra trick, they should be accepting the invitation. And one of the nice things about losing trick count is that this alternative method for hand evaluation, this is something that you can use on your own. It's not necessarily something that you and your partner have to agree to. This just will supplement and help your judgment. So when your partner opens, even if they've never heard of the losing trick count, you can count on them to have about 7 losers. And if we translate this to high card points, again, this is going to be a pretty rough translation, but this is going to be around 12 to 14 high card points. This is going to be around, let's make it 12 to 16, just because there's going to be an overlap. So this is going to be about 15 to 18 high card points. This is going to be something like 17 to 20 high card points. Minimum response is going to be something like 6 to 9 high card points. And a response with extras is going to be something like 9 to 11 high card points. But our losing trick count values distribution much more highly than the standard point count methods do. Because you notice if we go from 3 little cards, we have 3 losers, to 2 little cards, we've improved by 1 loser, which is just as good as changing our 3 loser hand to an ace. So that double 10, going from a 3 small to 2 small, counts as 1 point in most point count methods. And going from 3 small to ace third is worth 4 points. But they have the same value in losing trick count, which is why these estimated ranges for high card points and losers, they don't translate perfectly.